Well, first of all, hi everybody. My name is Igor Paspalj. This is my second workshop or masterclass here in Bangkok. I loved it first time, and now, thanks to a lot of people here, we are doing it for the second time.
You know, easiest way to do. What's lately was the trend in the world. I find it fascinating. I just don't see myself in it or now attempting to play that kind of music. But we still exist, there's a still audience for that. And it would be stupid for me to now try to mimic these kind of, if you're truly great, truly into hybrid picking, like that's what's gonna separate you from other guitar players. One. Sawadee Cup. And that's basically everything I know from Thai language, but I'm learning. Anyway, thank you everybody for coming up tonight. This is my second time at BSRU Musical Department at Rajaphat Bensomje University. And just before we begin, I just want to say big thanks to the people who made it happen. It's a Professor Ekashai Fuirun, then Master Paul, and all team from Rajaphat Bensomje Popular Music Department, University. Then also I want to say big thanks to Wood and his company Tone Time that's making us strings, that we restring this beautiful guitar tonight. Then also a company Music Entrance for providing us with new X effects, Trident, which is gonna feed my guitar tonight. Then also big thanks to CT Music for the camera team, and Shirapon from Sweet Sound for providing us with this beautiful Sur guitar. And also big thanks to One More Guitar for providing us with these other Livingston guitars. I think I haven't forgot about anything, right? And also big thanks special thanks to my friend, my brother, Danny, who helped us with the sound tonight. And yeah, that would be basically it. So what I want to actually talk about is how can you make your practice with guitar and basically everything about your guitar's practice routine more efficient. So there's so many little things that you need to put together to be as efficient as possible in a, well, let's say, shorter period of time. There's a lot of little things that you need basically to put together the right way to be as efficient as possible. One thing that I'm not doing right, and a lot of actually big names in guitar world are don't doing it right, that's a sitting with guitar. So don't sit like me. It's wrong. And there's several reasons for it. A lot of us electric guitar players like to sit like this, putting guitar on the right leg, which is completely wrong, because when you stand up, you don't play like this. Doesn't work. So you should sit like this. Now, I am not doing it right because I got taught and I got it wrong from the beginning, and for me it's very hard now for my spine and everything to sit with my guitar properly, which would be this. Because look, if you sit like this, your hand is kicking at your basically body, and you cannot do large spans. You cannot do large spans with the left hand, and you're gonna feel the cramps here. Second is also very important, your choice of guitar. So you don't have to go for something super expensive, what's the more important thing that you choose? The most important thing is to choose the neck shape, neck profile that fits to your hand. So some people hands, prefer modern C, vintage C. Some prefer V shape. Some prefer compound radius. So that's the more important thing, and it's gonna make your playing much better than have, let's say, super expensive guitar that has a neck profile that just doesn't work for you. Third is also your choice of effects, pedals, and whatever. You don't have to spend a lot of money to sound good. Now, these days, it was never best time to be guitar player because now companies make really affordable and great solutions like this NUX Trident for not that much money. And they have great algorithms, they sound very good, so you don't have to spend so much money experimenting and getting different tons of amps, which is just gonna waste your time instead of focus on your playing. Before you engage in your guitar practice, some things really to have in mind, to choose properly, to choose wisely, and it's gonna make all later process much more enjoyable and much more easier.
สงสัยเกี่ยวกับเทคนิคการalternate picking ของเขาครับธรรมดาอย่างเราจะกระดิกมุมนี้ใช่ไหมครับเหมือนเขาจะดีดมุมอย่างนี้หรือเปล่าครับ
He asked about your alternate picking technique. He said that usually we would go this angle, but your angle is a little bit different. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes. Again, there isn't only one right way. So basically, you should choose hand position that suits you. And there's no, really, if you were paying attention on famous guitar players, there's all different, really quirky looking one hands. For example, if you pay attention to Michelangelo Batio, he picks like this, with these three fingers like this, and he doesn't use string muting at all, so he has a characteristic sound. Then you have guys like, Vinnie Moore, they playing everything from, from underarm, like this. You have guys like, the craziest one I ever saw, Marty Friedman. You all know about Marty Friedman. He picks like this, absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I cannot even pick two notes like this, but he plays amazingly. So there's no right way, but I prefer to maintain my same position of the pick. Doesn't matter if I'm doing alternate picking, if I'm doing sweeping. I like to basically play by keeping my side of my right hand always, on the breaking point where the string breaks on the saddle, so I can always use efficiently string muting because I like the sound of, string muted lines, fast lines. I'm not the fan of, for example, Michelangelo Batio style where everything sounds open. I'm more like, in Paul Gilbert style of string muting. And also, most of the time, I like to do picking from the wrist, as you can see. I'm rarely gonna do, from underarm, which again is not wrong, but I just think you can be more efficient with the wrist because in playing fast, everything is about economy of motion. You want your movements as reduced as possible to keep your stamina, so you don't, lose too much strength playing like this. If you try to pick like this for half an hour, your whole hand is gonna start, you're gonna start getting cramps muscles here. But if you just do it from, from the wrist, I think you can basically last longer. If you're not watching video and if you don't know anything about hybrid picking, like Paul Gilbert said, this type of string skipping, that will be pretty impossible to play with. At that speed with a pick, no matter how much you practice, because the string skipping and jumping is just too much. So it allows you to play stuff. basically in your practice routine, you should always have a few segments included. For example, if you are not good at alternate picking and you have just, well, let's say this day, 2 hours for practicing, make like a 50% of your practicing time to practice alternate picking. Rest of it, like 30%, learn some solo, and maybe next 20% learn some stuff from theory of music, new scales, some new concepts or something like that. Of course, that can be changed. This percentage can change from time to time depending on your current level. But always try to organize, try to visualize some goal in the future, what you want to achieve from your practice sessions. It's always best than just, to sit with guitar and noodle for 3 hours. Half an hour of aimed practicing can give you much better results than just noodling around with guitar. Now, one thing about alternate picking, one great trick that you can use while practicing alternate picking is basically finding a little pattern, but playing it not only on different positions, but basically on different fingerings, and in that way utilizing different kind of strokes per each string while still playing exactly the same thing. For example, if you listen to what I'm playing and look at my hand, what you're gonna see. So you hear exactly the same pattern. The benefit, this simple little pattern or phrase, call it whatever you want. So basically you can play it this way. So you have 3 notes on the first string, 2 notes on the lower adjacent string. Then you can play it like this way, with the 2 notes on the first string and 3 notes on the lower adjacent string. And the last way, the hardest way, with 1 note on the first string, 3 notes on the second string, and 1 note on the third adjacent string. So that way you're going to utilize all kind of different picking patterns and basically different ways of switching from string to string. So is it going to be outside picking or is it going to be inside picking? And that way you're going to basically cover much more ground than always playing that same pattern on one single way. So can we invite, actually I can invite, he's a very young and he's one of the most talented guitarists in Thailand that I ever saw. He's my friend Nott. And please give him warm welcome. And 2 of us together are going to first play 2 of my songs. And then he's going to play 2 of his songs, right? So, okay, we're going to stand up so we look more. Now, one little disclaimer. These 2 songs, I mean, we never play them together. We just tried them today on the sound check. So forgive if there's, a few hiccups from my or his side. But yeah, we're going to do our best to see what's going to happen. Okay, now again, before we continue, one really, again, quick shout out to all the sponsors of the event. So, first, Tone Time Strings, Alloy N52. It's local product from Bangkok, and they're pretty cheap, but they're not cheap because they're bad, because they're cheap because they're saving on packaging. And obviously, who cares about packaging? It matters what's inside. So yeah, I would recommend it. I have quite a few packs. I was testing them last few days, and they're really good. And most importantly, they're local product, so it's great reason to buy them. Also, we have great guitars, Sur, modern, nothing to talk about this guitar. I mean, it's amazing. And we also have this. I'm gonna play now a little bit on this guitar, which is Livingstone guitar. Also, you can find a lot of models here locally, although it's made in China, I believe, right? Yes, but also great guitar, much more affordable, but still very good. And also NUX effects. We have here their flagship model, it's Trident. I'm sure that you all know about NUX, and it's very popular here in Asia as well. I also have a few of their products home, and it's, I mean, I have it at home, but they bring me one here, and I didn't have any of my presets, so literally these presets I created in like 2 minutes today on soundcheck, and yeah, it sounds... Sounds pretty good, you know, for 2 minutes just messing around with some factory stuff here.
ครับก็อยากถามเกี่ยวกับการสปีดบิ๊กกิ้งครับอยากรู้เกี่ยวกับการเพิ่มสปีดแล้วก็การผ่อนคลายกล้ามเนื้อแต่ละส่วนแบบนี้ครับ
He wants to know about sweep picking, how to do it faster and more relaxing.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Sweep picking. He
Sweep
wants to know,
picking.
yeah, how to do it with more like how to like relax when you play it and how to do it faster.
Okay, so in sweep picking, there's only one important thing that you should do. First is starting to practice sweep picking with only 2 strings, you know, licks like... When you master this, start practicing licks, you know, with a, you know, kind of 3-string sweep picking, like stuff like, you know. After that, 4, 5, and so on. But the most important motion is, I'm gonna have to try to put this side. One thing that people sometimes do wrong when practicing sweep picking. With sweep picking, no matter how fast or slow you are going, for example, if you have a sweep picking arpeggio, the most important thing is your pick has to, as soon as you play first note, look, pay attention to my right hand, immediately it has to fall down to the next adjacent string and stay there waiting for next stroke. So look, even if I have a hammering on this 5th string, but look, my pick is immediately on the 4. When I play 4, it's immediately leaned on the 3rd. So there's no motion, there isn't motion like this. Try to. So again, a lot of people, because they start practicing very slow, a lot of people, you know, makes this swinging motion like they're playing alternate picking. So they play each string separately, like. That way, it's never gonna be proper sweep. So you need to literally glide through strings, no matter how slow you're going. So you need to go. And again, utilizing accents is very important. For example, in this particular case, we have so we have triplets on first and last note. Always give that swing a little bit. And now, while it's not bad idea to practice this, for example, up and down, and it sounds musical, it's a scale, the tonic scale, still you will probably never use it exactly in that context when you're playing music, right? You will never actually compose some solo where you're gonna go play, I don't know, major scale through 2 octaves up and down. So for example, taking this major scale, just play. So take this fingering, don't deviate from it, and just try to play around. Make up some sequences, some patterns that you're gonna, do instead of just going up and down. Like, much better, much more musical. You can use it, when you basically break this scale into smaller patterns of going up and down. Like, so here I choose 60 notes. So. Combine it, backwards with something like this, a different sequence. A little bit chromatic, you can also, employ just to... Then 6, playing, on the same basically position. So play around with the scale and you will always, get some actual ideas that you can turn into some of your own licks. Thank you.
Well, first of all, hi everybody. My name is Igor Paspalj. This is my second workshop or masterclass here in Bangkok. I loved it first time, and now, thanks to a lot of people here, we are doing it for the second time. So I'm originally from Croatia, from Europe. Right now I'm living in Bosnia, but I'm traveling all around the world. Used to live in Dubai for like 7-8 years. And yeah, guitar is what I do, that's basically it, in short. This is actually my 4th time in Thailand. Yeah, I love Thailand, especially Bangkok. And it's my 2nd time that I'm doing the masterclass in the Rajabhat by Samja University, BSRU music department. It's great. Again, it's probably one of my favorite countries and favorite city in the world. No, seriously. And I really love it here. People are very nice. Everybody are very kind. There's just so many talented musicians. The music scene is, it's so vivid. It's so great. There's so many guitar players. I really love to come here. It's amazing. Okay, so who's the guitarist that inspires me?
Yes.
Well, I'm mostly inspired, all my life with guitar players from the 80s. Starting with, first and always the foremost, Eddie Van Halen. Then starting with guys, like Yngwie Malmsteen, Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, Vinnie Moore, Steve Morse, Richie Kotzen, you name it. But basically, yes, 80s heavy metal or shred scene, plus of course classical music, because I'm classically trained music. I have an MD degree in music theory, and yeah, so basically like a neoclassical blend, like Yngwie Malmsteen used to do it, but I'm not doing exclusively neoclassical blend of, guitar and classical music. Well, first of all, I know I have tonight's special guest, Nott. He's young and very talented Thai guitarist. And I also know Jack Tamarat, I know Jack, and I also know a few other people, but I forgot the names, I saw them, online, following them, and some of them has names written on Thai, so I cannot figure out how they're called. But yeah, I know Jack. Jack is also, we're working for the same company, JTC, together, and the one that I met is Nott, so he's going to be my guest tonight. He's young and very talented, and I wish him all luck. Gear?
Yes.
Okay. Well, gear that I use it kind of depends. If you're talking about guitars, I use a lot of different guitars. I have probably more than 40 now at home. But for example, tonight we're gonna use Sur guitars and Livingston guitars. So both great brands. Sur is very expensive. We don't have to talk too much about Sur. Everybody knows about it. Livingston is also one brand which is much more affordable, but also very, very good guitars. And both me and Nott are gonna play the Livingston guitar tonight. As far as guitar sound goes, also tonight we have a sponsor from New X, right? New X Effects, which is amazing. Also great company with very affordable guitar effects, and they have a great algorithms. They sound very good in very complete packaging. So tonight I'm gonna use New X Trident exclusively for sound, and I'm pretty happy. It sounds very good. Yeah, it's not easy, especially when you're playing a very virtuoso music, it's never on that top level as you can do it in studio, and everybody knows that. And even when you watch the best guitarists in the world, live playing, it's always like 5 to 10%, always, it's not that perfect. But yeah, basically, because the music is all I do, and guitar recordings and master classes, I always play at home. So that's the way that I'm basically maintaining my chops right now, basically. Not practicing anymore like 10 hours per day, because it's impossible with family, with all this recording stuff. But basically, because I'm playing every day, it kind of keeps it going, basically. Luckily, I'm never bored, because I have so many, jobs related to guitar. Sometimes, designing master classes for JTC, sometimes recording, guitars for some different bands, solos for them. Sometimes doing my own music, so it's never boring, trust me. But yeah, I could, as everybody, I could also take sometimes break, but it's hard to find the time to actually take a break from music or guitar.
สวัสดีครับผมนอตสันเพชรนะครับผมแชมพูไดฟ์ครั้งที่6 โอเคประสบการณ์ที่ได้เจอกับอีปอครั้งนี้นะครับก็เรื่องอะไรมันเป็นความสนุกมากกว่าที่ได้แบบว่าเล่นด้วยกันนะครับเพราะว่าอันนี้ก็คือแบบว่าเล่นเพลงของเขากับเขาเลยครับแล้วก็ผมก็แบบเหมือนแบบว่าใส่แบบพวกลายประสานอะไรเข้าไปอะไรอย่างเงี้ยครับก็เป็นอะไรที่สนุกดี
โอ้รู้สึกว่าได้ความรู้กลับไปซ้อมอะไรเงี้ยเยอะมากครับคือแบบเวลารู้อะไรบางอย่างแบบเช่นซ้อมอย่างเงี้ยผิดเวลาหลอดนี่ก็บอกก็โอ้มันเป็นนำไปปรับใช้อะไรเกี่ยวกับ
ของผมก็2 คนก็เป็นรอบที่2แล้วครับก็ได้ความรู้ก็ถือว่าเยอะอยู่ครับจากที่ซ้อมผิดก็ทำให้ช่วยซ้อมถูกๆได้อะไรอย่างเงี้ยครับ
รู้สึกว่าได้ความรู้เยอะมากเลยครับเรื่องที่ชอบที่สุดก็คือเรื่องมือซ้ายที่แบบว่าเขาบอกว่าถ้าส่วนมากสัญชาตญาณเราคือแบบพอเราอยากจะแบบซาวแบบดุดันอะไรเงี้ยเราจะบีบมือซ้ายแรงเขาบอกว่าต้องรีแลกซ์มือซ้ายแต่ว่าให้เน้นมือขวาแทนอะไรอย่างเงี้ยคือได้ความรู้เยอะมากจุใจมากครับผม
โอเคครับช่วงนี้ผมก็สอนเป็นหลักนะครับแล้วก็ซุ่มทำอัลบั้มอยู่เหมือนกันนะครับโอเคครับก็ยังไงก็ฝากติดตามนะครับในโซเชียลมีเดียไม่ว่าจะเป็นเพจหรือ IG อะไรอย่างนี้นะครับผมยังไงก็ฝากไปด้วยครับสวัสดีครับ
Well, I just want to thank everybody for coming tonight. You know, it was a real pleasure. It was great. And, you know, you can find me on all social networks, you know, on YouTube, on, you know, Instagram, Facebook with the handle Igor Paspalj Guitar. So if you want to check out more of my stuff, you're more than welcome. And thank you so much.